So now, ladies and gentlemen, live and in color, it's Mr. Wayne Lovejuice.
The other day I produced a Louis, had a chat with an interesting chappie who said that the YouTube algorithms really aren't that happy. If a channel only broadcasts once a week, so we decided we could text ya whenever we've got a piece of news in our new book on the track Extra. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's John Downs. I'm the director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology. I'm also a fat elderly hippie with a habit of wearing anarchist t-shirts in public when I know it's going to annoy people. Every Wednesday and every Saturday I bring you a show called On the Track, or On the Track Extra on Wednesdays. The Saturday show is about half an hour long. The Wednesday show, such as the one you are just about to watch, is only about half that, somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes, depending on my mood and depending on how much there's to say about the subject in question. Now, what's the show about? Well, I'm sure that the regular viewers will know already, but just in case you're one of the nice people who's come along from the internet and have no idea what's happening, it's a potpourri of hard science, weird shit, and surreality. What's surreality? Well, this is. Bob bob dang 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 blue. Regular viewers will probably remember that amongst the other things that I dislike about the modern world, social media is pretty well at the top of that list. And so it might surprise you even more to find that each day I quite like looking at Quora, because Quora interests me mildly, amuses me somewhat, and even makes me laugh on occasion, even when it comes out with idiotic questions like this. But sometimes people ask interesting questions like this one. Well, once we get the snarky bits of the answer out of the way, things like, we didn't invent electricity, we discovered it. And, well, of course, the electric eel isn't actually an eel. And, of course, electric eel is only the English name for it. And no, even though I am a great Rule Britannia, make the world a better place, God save the Queen, I am aware that English is not the only language spoken in the world. But it's an interesting question, because electricity is a relatively modern concept. And so what did people call the electric eel before we understood its most defining quality? Before we go on and answer this question, let's have a look and see what electric eels actually are. They're a genus of tropical fish, tropical freshwater fish, with 3 species in, 2 of which were only discovered as recently as 2010. And they are not eels at all. They're much more closely related to this, the knife fishes. This is a particularly beautiful specimen of a clown knife fish. Long before the different properties of electricity were investigated scientifically, our ancestors knew about it, bizarrely mostly because of the effect of electric shocks from various species of electric fish. This creature, for example, which lives in the rivers of Egypt to the present day is the electric catfish, and the ancient Egyptians 3 centuries before Christ knew it as the thunderer of the Nile. What a beautiful fish it is. There used to be an absolutely magnificent and huge one in the aquarium at Birdworld in Farnham, which is a place I do recommend anybody who is passing through that part of Hampshire and Surrey should go and have a look, because it is an absolutely brilliant place to go. And if the enormous electric catfish is still happily moseying about in his huge tank in the aquarium, please go and say hello to him from me. The 16th century British scientist William Gilbert was amongst the first people to study electricity and magnetism, and he wrote an enormous and still revered treatise on the subject, which was published in 1600, and he used the word electricus from a Latin term meaning from amber, because both in the ancient world down to the 16th century and beyond, the easiest way of getting an electrical charge was to rub a piece of amber against some sheep's wool or bird's feather. The English word electricity was first used 45 years later by the eminent British scientist Sir Thomas Browne. Browne was very much a disciple of Gilbert, and so the words electricity in English and electricus in Latin were well established parts of language of the scientific community by the time that Carl von Linn, better known to many people as Carolus Linnaeus, first described the electric eel in 1761. So within the scientific community it's always been known as the electric eel. But I don't think that we're going to be arrogant enough to believe that this remarkable trio of species suddenly sprung into existence at the moment in 1761 that a European guy with a big powdered wig decided to give it a binomial classification. No, of course it didn't. So what was it called by people who encountered it before it was named the electric eel? That's the original question, and I'm now going to try my best to answer it. The simple answer is that the natives of the Amazon basin, who knew the electric eel well, called it poraqui, and I'm sure I've mispronounced that, the animal which numbs. And I think that answers the question really quite nicely. Sorry I've been doing it in a slightly long-winded manner, but I found this journey fascinating. See you next week.